I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this, but here we are. My name's Jake, and I was with Emily for about 4 years. We were supposed to get married next month, or at least that's what I thought, until everything fell apart in the worst way possible. From the start, things seemed good. She was beautiful, smart, and convincing when she said she loved me. We had plans, a future, a house in the suburbs, maybe even a kid or two. I was all in, and honestly, I thought she was too. Looking back, I guess the signs were there, but I was too blind to see them. She started acting a little distant a few months ago, like she was distracted, but she'd always brush it off. Work stress, she'd say, or just tired. She'd cancel plans last minute, and sometimes I'd find her on her phone late at night, hiding the screen when I walked in. I joked about it at first, but deep down I felt something was off. She'd get a little bitchy when I asked questions, say I was paranoid or insecure. She tell me I was overthinking, that she was tired of the constant accusations. But I knew her too well, I could tell when she was hiding something. Then came the worst part. I started noticing little things, her perfume smelling different, her phone always password protected, and her lying about where she was going all the time. I decided to check her phone one night when she fell asleep early. I didn't plan to snoop, but I was desperate. That's when I saw the messages. The texts with my brother, Mark. They were flirty, explicit at times. They talked about meeting up, about how they couldn't keep their hands off each other, about sneaking around behind my back. I felt like the ground had opened beneath me. My stomach twisted, and I didn't know whether I should yell, cry, or just run away. I stared at the screen for what felt like hours. The worst part was the way she lied to my face every single day, acting like everything was fine. She'd call me paranoid, say I was jealous, or accuse me of mistrusting her without reason. Meanwhile, she was lying with my own brother, planning how to hide it from me. I never in a million years thought she'd do something so damn cruel, especially not with Mark, the guy I trusted most in the world. How could she? How could she betray me like this with someone so close? My mind was racing, my heart pounding. I didn't even know what to do with the information at first, but I knew one thing: my life was about to change forever. The next few days were a blur of anger, confusion, and a kind of numbness I can't really describe. I spent more time than I'd like to admit obsessing over those messages, trying to find some shred of hope that it was all just a misunderstanding, some sick joke. But there was no denying the truth. The texts were clear, direct, and there was no way she could spin her way out of that. Emily had been cheating on me with my own brother, Mark, and they had been planning this behind my back for weeks. I didn't want to just confront her without thinking it through. I needed a plan, a way to get real answers. That night when she came home from her work trip, I decided enough was enough. I waited until she was in the living room, sipping her wine, acting like everything was normal. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my voice, and I threw everything on her. "Who the hell do you think you are, Emily? I saw the messages, the lies, the way you've been sneaking around with Mark. Tell me what's going on." Her face went pale for a second, then she scoffed, rolling her eyes. "Oh, please, Jake, you're overreacting. This is ridiculous. You're just jealous and insecure as usual. Mark and I," she paused, trying to sound nonchalant, "we're just friends. You're making a scene over nothing." Her words felt like poison, like she was spitting in my face. I couldn't believe her, how she lied so brazenly, how she refused to admit anything. I was furious, my blood boiling. I told her I'd seen enough, that I wasn't going to be played for a fool anymore. She just shrugged, gave me that bitchy smirk that I'd come to hate in recent weeks. "Whatever, Jake. You're so paranoid. Maybe you should get your head checked. I don't need to explain myself to you." Her tone was dismissive, like I was nothing but a nuisance. That was the moment I realized she had no intention of owning up. She was going to keep lying, keep pretending everything was fine. But I wasn't going to let her get away with it. I told her that I knew the truth, that I was done being used and lied to, and that from now on she could consider this over. The aftermath hit me hard. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. My mind was spinning with betrayal, anger, and a deep, aching sadness. How could she do this? With my brother, no less. It felt like my entire world had cracked open in that instant. I kept replaying her words, her lies, the way she looked at me like I was the one in the wrong. But the real truth was staring me right in the face. She had been cheating on me for weeks, maybe even months, and I had been too blind to see it. Or maybe I just didn't want to see it. Either way, everything was different now. I knew I had to decide what to do next. The days that followed were the hardest I've ever experienced. Every time I thought about her, about Mark, about the lies and betrayal, I felt this burning mix of rage and despair. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. All I kept thinking was how she had turned out to be this manipulative, bitchy person who was capable of lying straight to my face while screwing my own brother. It was like the ground beneath me had turned to quicksand. I started noticing little things, things I hadn't paid attention to before. Her phone kept vibrating at odd hours, the way she'd avoid eye contact when I asked about her day, even her scent. Something smelled different, more like her perfume mixed with something else I couldn't quite place. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but I knew she was hiding something. I decided to follow her one day, just to see if I could catch her in the act, or at least get more evidence. I never thought I'd do something like this, but I was desperate for closure. She left the apartment in the evening, acting nonchalant, and I followed her at a distance. She went to a hotel downtown, checked in under a false name. I waited outside for what felt like hours, my stomach twisting with every passing minute. When she finally came out, she looked flustered, like she'd just escaped something. I kept my distance, heart pounding, and followed her to a bar where she met someone. I couldn't see who. She was quick to slide into a booth, look around, then kiss whoever was waiting for her. I saw enough. That was her. That was Mark. They were still at it, still sneaking around, still hiding their affair. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything I saw, every lie she told me, every fake smile. I was angry at her, but deep down I was also hurt. How could she do this? How could she betray me, cheat with my own brother, and then lie to my face every day? I felt betrayed, humiliated, like a fool. I started thinking about how I'd confront them next, what I'd say, what I'd do. I knew I couldn't keep quiet anymore, not after seeing her in that hotel with my brother. That was the ultimate betrayal, and I had to decide whether I wanted to fight or just walk away. But one thing was clear. I wasn't letting this go without some kind of reaction. They had hurt me badly, and I was already planning my move, even if I wasn't ready to tell anyone yet. The more I thought about it, the more I realized I couldn't just let this slide. Not after witnessing her sneaking around like a damn teenager with Mark right in front of my eyes. I had to confront her, but I also knew that if I did it impulsively, I'd end up losing control, so I decided to plan it carefully. I wanted her to see I wasn't the fool she thought I was. The next day, I waited until she was at work. I wasn't planning to just call her. I wanted her to face the consequences in person. I took her phone just to see if there was anything else I'd missed, more proof maybe, or some last-minute lie she'd try to spin. As I scrolled through her messages again, I found a lot more than I expected. There were even more explicit texts, talk of meeting up, plans for secret sex, every detail laid out like they were some kind of sick game. She lied about everything, about feeling tired, about working late, about spending time with her friends. Meanwhile, she was screwing my brother, planning to keep the affair going even after the wedding. When she finally came home that evening, I was ready. I told her I had something to say, and she rolled her eyes, acting like I was wasting her time. Her bitchiness was on full display. "What now, Jake? You're wasting my evening." I looked her straight in the eye, feeling a calm I didn't expect to have. I pulled out her phone and showed her everything, the texts, the hotel receipts, the photos I'd secretly taken of her and Mark that day. Her face twisted in shock, then anger. She started to lie, of course. "That's not what it looks like," she spat, trying to brush it off, blaming it on drunken mistakes or bad choices. She argued she was just having fun, that she didn't mean for it to happen, that I was being paranoid. But I wasn't buying it. I told her she could keep lying, but I saw the truth in her eyes. She was a bitch, a manipulative liar, and I was done. I told her she needed to leave, that I didn't want to see her face again until she decided what kind of person she really was. She threw a fit, calling me crazy, accusing me of ruining everything, but I didn't care. Honestly, I felt free for the first time in days. I'd finally uncovered her deception, and I was done playing her game. It hurt like hell, but I knew I had to move on, even if it meant starting from scratch. I made her pack her things and leave. knowing I'd never look at her the same way again. That moment, I realized I'd been a fool for so long, trusting someone who only wanted to hurt me. And deep down, I knew I'd never forgive her for what she did. Not to me, not to my brother. The days after she left were a mix of relief and utter devastation. I'd finally confronted her, exposed her lies, and kicked her out, but the pain didn't disappear overnight. It felt like I'd been hit by a truck. Every memory, every plan we had felt like a lie now. I kept seeing her face, the sneer she gave me when I accused her, and the image of her with Mark kept flashing in my mind. It was like I was living in some kind of nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Still, I knew I had to do something about it. Revenge, maybe, or at least something to reclaim control of my life. I decided to get even, not in some petty, childish way, but in a way that would hit her where it hurt. I knew Mark was just as guilty, so I started making plans on how to teach him a lesson. I didn't want to hurt him physically, but I wanted him to feel the guilt, to understand the depth of what he'd done. I spent a few nights digging into his social media, finding out where he worked, who his friends were, and gathering intel. I wasn't going to confront him directly yet. I wanted to be smart about it. Then I found out about the affair's extent, how long they'd been doing this, how many lies they'd told me. I also learned that Emily's bitchiness wasn't just an act. She had a history of screwing over people, manipulating and lying her way through life. That realization made it easier to stop feeling like I was the crazy one. She had been planning her escape, her betrayal all along. So I decided she would see the real cost of her actions. I reached out to a friend of mine who was a private investigator. I paid him to dig deeper, to find out if she was seeing anyone else, if Mark was just a pawn or part of a bigger game. Meanwhile, I kept myself busy with work and friends, trying not to drown in the pain. But inside, I was simmering with a quiet rage. I wanted her to understand that she lost everything: her marriage, her relationship with Mark, and maybe even her reputation. I knew I had to be patient and calculated. Revenge wasn't about rushing. It was about making her feel the loss, the guilt, the shame. And I was prepared to do whatever it took to get there. Looking back now, I realized that the whole thing changed me in ways I never expected. After I uncovered everything, her lies, her betrayals, her manipulations, I decided I couldn't keep pretending I was okay. I had to face it head on. I told myself I deserved more than being lied to, cheated on, and made a fool of. So I cut her out of my life completely. No calls, no messages. I wanted her to feel the emptiness she left behind, to see what it was like to lose someone who once meant everything to her. The aftermath was brutal, but it also brought clarity. I learned that some people are just toxic, manipulative, and selfish. Emily proved that she cared only about herself, about her next thrill, her next lie. And Mark, he turned out to be just as selfish, just as willing to betray his own family for a quick fuck. I think about the damage they did, and I wonder how some people can be so heartless, so damn careless with other people's lives. Through all of this, I learned to trust my instincts more. I learned that sometimes you have to cut out the toxic people to save yourself. I still feel the sting of betrayal every now and then, but I also feel a strange sense of liberation. I'm stronger now, wiser, and I know that I'll never let anyone hurt me like that again. If there's one thing I want anyone reading this to take away, it's that honesty and loyalty matter more than anything. Don't ignore the signs, and don't let anyone make you feel like you're crazy for knowing your worth. So yeah, that's my story. It's a shitstorm I never wanted to be part of, but it taught me a lesson I won't forget. Trust is fragile and betrayal cuts deep. But sometimes the only way to heal is to face the truth, no matter how ugly it is. And you have to be willing to walk away, even when it hurts, because staying would only kill your spirit slowly. I'm moving forward now, putting all this behind me, stronger than ever.